Welcome to You Ought to Watch This Movie, the podcast about movies from the first decade of the 2000s, aka the aughts. Follow along and explore a movie from the aughts, getting unbridled opinions from two millennials. Sit back, relax, and enjoy one of the best decades in movies.
And we are back for another episode of YAWTM. Y-A-W-T-M.
You ought to watch this movie.
Yes. This episode is brought to you by Small Boxes. And what I mean by that is I tripped over a box and it was from Amazon. And I said, I wonder what came in that box. And Colin's response, something small. Very, very funny.
I like giving obvious answers.
Yes. She's very quick with the obvious. All right. So, do you want to introduce what movie we're watching today?
Yep. So this week we watched Rules of Engagement, which released April 7th, 2000. And I guess this is your time to, if you haven't, okay, well first, no, we'll tell you, we watched it on Paramount Plus, but it's also available to watch on Pluto for free with ads, and also to rent, of course, on Amazon. So if you haven't seen it, now is a good time. You can pause us and come back after you've watched the movie.
Yes, indeed do.
And this is rated R for war, violence, and language.
Yes. So this probably wouldn't be a movie Colin would see in theaters.
No, but I thought I would like it, even though I didn't think I would like it from the trailer. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's some movies I'm like, this is not something I would choose to watch, but I think if I see it, I'll like it.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have been something I'd see in the theaters, but
That's why we watched it.
yeah. Oh, anyway.
Because you were like, I would watch that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'd seen part of a few good men on TV before, not the whole movie, but I thought that seemed interesting, so I thought this might be like that movie. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it probably won't be terrible.
Well, do we go to the summary first?
We go to the trailer. Oh, wait. Do we want to do trailer summary first?
Do the summary.
Well, I've been just getting lazier and lazier on these. Or more concise.
Well, you write your own, so you're not as lazy as some podcasters.
Well, I try to write my own, so I'm not plagiarizing, and so this one's very short. A Marine colonel is court-martialed for killing civilians in Yemen.
It's an adequate summary. Yeah. Okay. Well, my trailer... my trailer summary, rather, is very short. Reminds me of A Few Good Men. Very interested to see what Samuel L. Jackson brings to the table here.
My trailer notes were, first, there was no voiceover, so this is one of the few so far that hasn't had one.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm not sure if I'll like it, but maybe it will be like A Few Good Men, which you already mentioned. And then, just another comment: a movie can still be good even if I don't like this setting.
Yeah. Okay. That's a nice way to put it. Well, do you want to move to your... Wait, you already did your trailer summary.
It wasn't a trailer summary. It was a summary of the movie.
Oh. Well,
that's what we do first. A summary of
that was my trailer summary, though. I was wondering if you had yours.
What do you mean?
Like your thoughts on the trailer.
Those were my thoughts on the
that's
trailer.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, you're calling it a summary, but that's not what it is. It's like
our trailer thoughts, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the Well, do you want to get into actors?
I guess. When you're talking about your comments, which I'm not sure how many you have, there are a couple of trivia things I was trying to find on IMDb.
Go into the actors we know, and then we'll circle back.
Yeah, I know. I was just commenting. So we know Samuel L. Jackson from, of course, all of the Marvel movies.
And you can't remember Snakes on a Plane.
Well, I've never seen that. So.
Neither have I, but it's just,
Okay. We knew Bruce Greenwood, who played that Sokol guy,
Security
advisor, because he played Captain Pike in the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies. And also he played the president in National Treasure Book of Secrets. Mm-hmm. And we knew, I don't really know this actor, but he's been in like a couple things, but it's like I know him from looking like Patrick Stewart, kind of, and that's like a thing that's been going on, like
who?
Their whole Ben Kingsley.
Okay. Oh.
Because he's bald and their faces kind of look the same. But anyway, he was in a live action Alice in Wonderland from '99, and I'm sure a lot of other things. But anyway, also we knew Philip Baker Hall. He played the attorney's dad. Mm-hmm. And we knew him from Modern Family
as the weirdo next door
neighbor Walt Klezak.
Yeah.
And of course, we should also say the other lead actor in this, besides Samuel L. Jackson, is Tommy Lee Jones, but I don't really know him from anything.
Yeah, I there's a few movies that I know him from. I mean, obviously Men in Black.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah. And then I want to say he played in Fugitive, but I can't remember. But excellent actor, excellent duo for lead, actors.
Yeah.
So, and but I thought it was such a 180 from Mr. Klezak that one. Klezak. that individual played. But so the setting of this movie, and I guess I'll start on my comments.
Okay.
If you're wanting to look up those additional trivia bits, setting of this movie as described, a colonel in the Marine Corps gets tried at court-martial for killing civilians. However, it's not as cut and dry. Interestingly enough, this movie came out just prior to September 11th, 2001, a year prior. And it makes you question, is if this was in post-production during that time, if it would have even been released.
Oh, yeah.
But, just thought I had. And it really, rules of engagement is not just, the title. It's also the actual policy that, combatants follow, in the United States Armed Services whenever engaging an enemy combatant. However, throughout the movie, is the lead up to the trial. The trial's in the last 45 minutes, and they make a compelling argument that the rules of engagement aren't always as cut and dry. One interesting thing, I think, was it your mom who said it, that why can't they just shoot him in the arm?
Huh?
Who said, can't you just shoot him in the arm?
Regarding what?
Like police?
Well, I've asked that about intruders, like coming into your home. I said, if you're trying to shoot someone, why can't you just aim not to kill, but just to harm?
Yeah.
And you said it's hard because they're going to be moving the whole time you're aiming at them.
That's what. Yeah. That's what. Okay. I I didn't think it was you, but I guess it was.
Well, I
Yeah.
know I've asked that before about,
Yeah.
well, and I'm just saying intruders. That's easier.
Yeah. Well, if an intruder ever came in here, I'd be firing it in her ass.
Well, I don't know. I would try not to kill them, but you said it's hard not.
No one tries to kill. You just want the threat to stop moving. And but they, one of the comments made at trial. You couldn't shoot over them. You couldn't, shoot. Fire warning shots. And so the predicate battle in which the colonel is being tried for is they are rescuing a ambassador who at the American embassy in Yemen. And any international law dictates, well, those who follow international law is on foreign soil, an embassy is sovereign territory of the requisite country that has that embassy.
Well, and they said that in the movie too.
So the Marines go in to rescue the ambassador and his wife and child, and they get him out of there. And at this point, 2 Marines have been killed, and they're on the roof trying to assess, but they're being pinned down by sniper fire. And a 3rd Marine goes down, and the 3rd Marine is on a lookout to see where the enemy fire is coming from, and the colonel is with him on that lookout, and he is the primary individual who can visualize that there are indeed individuals within the crowd that are firing upon their position. They're much lower and the snipers are much higher. But one thing that I thought that they did a great job putting a realism factor to it, and that's actually the only single line comment I made, because I was thinking about it just before we started. It's like, well, this comment leads into so many different other things. Is enemy combatants using children as cover, and it's ridiculous. Is I would argue that I love the children of a terrorist more, being that the terrorist is strapping a bomb to their child, handing the child a gun, sending them out, because there's a moral quagmire, if you will. What do you do? And so he had to make the decision, because his 3rd Marine got killed. They're pinned down effectively to open fire into, is, I believe the exact verbiage is, if fire as, as engage as they arise. And unfortunately, whenever these Marines, peered over, the balcony and started engaging, well, the enemy fire is coming from the crowd. And so they engaged the crowd. There are civilian casualties, unfortunately. And so it is an unfortunate reality. But again, back to the rules of engagement, it's like, well, you can't shoot around these individuals. If you don't shoot at them, they're going to, continue to take lives. So, but it was a interesting, I don't know, litmus test, if you will, for, I guess, appreciating, the combat. But I don't know.
Well, I should mention this wasn't a real life story. This wasn't based off of a real life event or even a book. James Webb, who provided the story for the movie, he wrote it based partly on his own military experience in Vietnam and then his tenure as a Secretary of the Navy under President Reagan.
I did not realize that was the same James Webb.
Yes. And so this movie started out in Vietnam during that war with these 2 guys, the main...
Samuel Jackson
and
as
Tommy Lee
Childers,
Jones.
and then Tommy Lee Jones
as Hodges.
which, you know, I don't think they aged much.
That's my first comment,
Yeah.
Miles. Because then they go through this thing where they're in combat, and then like it goes to 28 years later, and I said they don't look 28 years older. And then we're at this Hodges guy, his house, and his parents' anniversary, and his parents look the same age as him. And on IMDb, it said that the guy that played his dad is only 13 years older than him, and the guy that played his mom is only 5 years older than him. But I don't even remember seeing her. But
yeah, she was there like right as he got to the party.
Okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, they didn't do a great job of like aging them or making them look younger like before.
Yeah, I guess
like,
they didn't have the best CGI, and that's
or
now
they
could
just thought it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So the whole thing was like Childers just he was a scapegoat for this because the United States didn't want to get blamed for
specifically the administration, the National Security Advisor. Yeah.
He didn't want to get blamed. Like, he wanted to blame it on one person. And
well, it really gives you an appreciation for politics when it comes to war, because they're making these decisions from the comfort of an armchair. And it's like in 2001 with the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, and all the Marines and the corpsmen that was killed in that. It was just bad policy from an armchair. And this scum of the earth Skodak. So they're Sokol, sorry.
Skodak is somebody else.
Yeah, Skodak is individuals that we dance with. So if they're listening, you're still scum of the earth. No, I'm kidding. I love you. Anyway, so Sokol is a scum of the earth, political, and this ambassador who essentially, not essentially, he gets his life saved by Colonel Childers, and Colonel Childers says, wait a minute, goes back to the roof of the embassy, brings down the American flag and hands it to him. And, he's like, oh, I'll never forget that she saved my family. And they fly off. Well, then Sokol, has the ambassador to his office and, is basically saying it's going to be a problem if you remember him being heroic or blah, blah, blah. And so this ambassador shows up. Oh, no, he came in pushing us around, wouldn't let me do my job. And like, okay, yeah.
When you were hiding under a desk and freaking out and screaming in a high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're in this country that already has tensions. You should have known what you were getting into. Like, you should not be this freaked out.
Well, so I cautionally say that, this, obviously tensions in the area were, significantly raised, during that time, because I want to say the Cole bombing was around that time. I cannot remember the exact year, and, probably take flag for that, but, it was relatively recent. And, the Beirut barracks bombings, all of that was pretty recently. That I'm saying that because it qualifies the statement that post 9/11 embassy security was materially different, and so I guess his expectation may have been, oh, this is going to be a breeze, but no, it wasn't a breeze at all. You're getting your office shot up, but nonetheless, is this guy saves your life, and then you show up to the trial and lie through your teeth. And the Hodges, played by Tommy Lee Jones, is making the argument, there was security footage, is where this security footage, the manifest shows that there is a tape Well, Sokol destroyed it. He threw it in a fire once
yeah.
he viewed it and realized, oh, there were terrorists firing from the crowd. Mm-hmm. What a piece of trash.
And I was mad about that. I was like, I hope that somebody finds out. I hope that somebody finds out that he destroyed it. And then we find out at the end that they did.
Well, like I'm sitting there watching, the trial, and obviously, Hodges, I guess they, comment on him, he graduated, 67th of his class. And,
at Georgetown.
Then they have all of these, like comments as to him not being the best lawyer. But I'm thinking to myself, so rules of evidence in the Uniform Code of Military Justice are arguably more comprehensive than the rights that civilians have. And it's like there is such, a profound emphasis on, chains of custody, ensuring, it's not fruit of the poisonous tree. And I'm just sitting there thinking, is that other guy knew that Sokol had it, his assistant, or, whatever his position was, Deputy National Security Advisor, whatever, he knew of its existence. If that manifest showed it, I'm just thinking, why isn't this guy subpoenaing every single individual who was involved in that chain of custody from point of origin to destination, and determining exactly what happened to that tape? And I guess, at the end of the movie, there was a title card screen that says Sokol was convicted on destruction of evidence. Mm-hmm. And probably
who knows, they could have recorded more people, but they probably had to cut stuff out for time.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know, like, what was cut out and not. But, yeah. But this was my type of movie because it had a good ending and everybody got what they deserved.
Well, I don't think Childers should have been found guilty of breach of peace.
Oh, well, he still didn't, have to, he wasn't dishonorably discharged and he didn't have to go to jail, right?
Yeah, well, he would never hold command again. And, so Colonel Children's personal life, no family, no children, no wife, he's dedicated his life to the Corps. And, now he is the commanding officer of the 24th MEO, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, and, or 27th, I think 24th. Anyway, he'd worked his entire career to get to that point. And obviously, his career was not stopping at, whatever time he had been in at that point. It was just forward progressing. At this moment, his forward progression, his career elevation had plateaued.
So what would happen?
He would probably retire very quickly after.
Well, okay, but I think he did kind of get what he deserved. I know you don't agree, but he wasn't the best person. It's not like he was blameless.
Yeah, no,
I don't think that
I agree with that.
He did a lot of things he shouldn't have as far as how he conducted himself, and I'm not talking about...
We're not talking about the war scenarios. We're just talking about, individually, outside.
Well, and also in the beginning of the movie, how he shot that guy for no reason. I don't think he should have done that. And I know I can say that I'm not in that position, but the other part makes sense when people were firing at him and his people and civilians are going to get killed, and that's just inevitable.
Yeah.
But
the Battle Kalu that he was in, I found it very. I like the fact that they brought in the opposition colonel who was in charge of enemy forces from the Battle Kalu, and the fact that he said, if I was in his position, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
And so to piggyback on your comment, we don't know, we weren't there.
Yes,
yeah.
But I can still say that I feel like everybody got what they deserved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You can say that you don't agree, but But I'm just telling you my explanations for why I think
I'm sorry. I wasn't necessarily saying that he didn't deserve that because, of his character. I was saying it because the terrorists firing the guns were breaching the peace.
Oh.
Those were the guys that, if you could charge anyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What else we got?
Those were all my comments, really.
Yeah. Overall, what do you think you give it a grade?
I'm going first?
Yeah, I can go first. Would you like me to go first?
Yes, because I already have mine down. It's not going to change.
I give mine on a fly. I give mine a B plus 89.
Okay. I gave it an 85.
Okay. Yeah, I don't give it higher than B plus because I just felt there was so much more that could have been wanted from it.
I don't think you have to explain your answer because, like, on a scale of 0 to 100, I think an 89 is pretty high.
Yeah. Well, not if we're in grade school, and not if you're calling.
Well, it's not good enough for me in real life, but I mean, as far as this goes, as far as ranking movies, I think that's a pretty good score. We can't give everything an A.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. At least we're consistent with our approach, unlike some other not Talkville podcasts.
Oh my gosh!
Don't worry, they're not going to listen to this.
I know that.
They don't spend enough time. Michael doesn't spend enough time actually rewatching the Smallville episode. You think he's going to spend time listening to us? But if he does, give me a call, and Colin and I will give you some pointers.
Okay.
Well, do we have anything else we want to end out with?
No, I think we've said everything we needed to say.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next podcast.
Yes, we already know what we're watching because we watched several trailers to get to this, and we watched another one after this, and because I wasn't sure if I wanted just to see this for the podcast, but I decided that I felt like Miles would really enjoy it and I wouldn't hate it. So,
well, as if you, if you maintain and stay on the same frequency as us, you'll hear about the movie at the time we release it 2 weeks after this, and also the name of the movie is in that comment. So
yeah, I
am definitely looking forward to that, and it's a lot. I think it'll be a lot happier than this.
Much happier.
But with that I'm Colin.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm not Miles.
I'm Colin.
Oh, God. I'm Miles.
And this has been You Ought to Watch. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to You Ought to Watch This Movie, a podcast about movies from the first decade of the 2000s, aka the aughts. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes covering movies you ought to watch. We'll see you next time.